Israel's prime minister has been one of the most powerful voices to warn the world about Iran.
For 35 years, Iran has relentlessly pursued the global mission which was set forth by its founding ruler, Ayatollah Khomeini, in these words: "We will export our revolution to the entire world." So don't be fooled by Iran's manipulative charm offensive. It's designed for one purpose, and for one purpose only: to lift the sanctions and remove the obstacles to Iran's path to the bomb.
That's why Congress has invited Bibi Netanyahu to address a joint session on March 3rd, a move seen as a rebuke to the president, who's threatened to veto any new sanctions imposed on Iran. The White House isn't happy about the invite, calling it a departure from protocol because it wasn't notified first. House Speaker John Boehner says Congress doesn't have to ask for permission.
I did not consult with the White House. The Congress can make this decision on its own. I don't believe I'm poking anyone in the eye. And the fact is that there needs to be a more serious conversation in America about how serious the threat is from radical Islamic jihadists and the threat posed by Iran.
And reaction from the State Department.
It's certainly unusual. We heard, as you know and have reported on, from Speaker Boehner, not from Israel, about plans for the Prime Minister to come here. It was a bit of an episode of the Bazaar today, seeing all of this unfold.
Okay, so Josh Earnest has called it a breach of protocol. Is it the right decision?
It's absolutely the right decision. John Boehner pointed out that they weren't poking the president in the eye by inviting Bibi Netanyahu when the president clearly didn't want Netanyahu to address Congress. But President Obama poked Congress in the eye on Tuesday night when he says, no matter what you decide, I will veto it if it has anything to do with sanctions in Iran, especially when we know sanctions on Iran work and Congress would likely recommend imposing sanctions. So the poke goes from the president to Congress, not the other way around. I think it's the right thing to do. And I think the president should be meeting with Netanyahu, and I believe he's not. Isn't that true?
He is not.
Right.
While he's here, he's gone on the record to say he's not going to meet. Dana?
They might change their minds. I think this is maybe a lot of this is kind of the heat of the moment and frustration.
Do you think
we should have the same goal? Of course, I think the president should meet with the Prime Minister of Israel if we are going to continue to have the strong relationship with them that we want, and I think that Israel wants. Then we should be able to put aside the logistical details of how an invitation was offered. Now, last week, when Prime Minister David Cameron of the UK was here, President Obama asked him, and he was talked about it in the press conference, to actually personally lobby members of Congress to not vote for sanctions. So President Obama was asking a world leader to weigh in, and I think that the Congress has a right to say, Benjamin Netanyahu is the leader of Israel. It's his responsibility. He has strong feelings. Let's have him come and speak. So I think that because we have the same goal, which is that Iran should not be allowed to get a nuclear weapon, then I think that the parties should be able to come together. I think these sanctions actually could pass the Congress. I think that because they are the slap back in terms of, it's not proactive sanctions, it's sanctions if X is not met, then I think that is something that is important, because leverage does not weaken your position when you're in negotiations. Leverage is a good thing, and I think our Congress is right to press the president on it.
All right, strong move.
Well, here's what's wrong with this picture. It's okay to make deals with your adversaries behind closed doors, but you can't meet with an ally in public. It's always been about that, ignoring our allies at the expense of our adversaries. Part of this is a skepticism about Obama's negotiating abilities. You always feel like you're watching a 6-year-old playing chess against Bobby Fischer. It seems like at times he has a form of Stockholm syndrome. He likes everybody but us. And he feels that like leverage, the idea of leverage is kind of an old, a part of the past that we have to let go.
Something George Bush did.
Yeah, we don't really need leverage. Instead, let's get James Taylor.
Yeah, that's always the diplomatic solution.
Let me try to put 2 points here on the table. I have not maybe Dana does, remember when a leader of another country has been asked to speak before Congress just by an invitation for Congress without the White House being informed, number one. But number two, you know who breaks with Netanyahu on this? Is his own intelligence service. The Mossad says that they should not he should not get in the middle of encouraging sanctions by the U.S. Congress.
Did you see the update on that today, though, Bob?
I just
Did you have that for us?
I do. So Mossad has actually come out and said that's actually not what they were saying.
No, some of them were saying that's.
No, but Bob, the chairman himself said it. I'm just telling you, this is what the new information that they put out today.
Well, answer my other question. Did you remember when you had a head of state speaking that you didn't know about?
No, you know why? One reason I think is because we had really good relationships with through our legislative affairs office. They were excellent, and they knew the members of Congress. They could go in and talk to them, and they could have said, "Hey, Speaker Boehner, this is going to happen." Okay,
right.
Fine, unhappy about it, but all right, I'll take the message back to the president. The relationship had been broken. I think that they have new legislative affairs people that could be better, but over 6 years, President Obama has treated them terribly, and I don't think it's wrong for them to invite him.
I'm just saying.
And it could have been, Bob, it could have been on the Bibi Netanyahu is being criticized for maybe it was his under protocol for him to alert the White House about it, and maybe that didn't happen.
But nevertheless, why is this taking place?
Right,
because the President of the United States has failed in his relationship with Israel. This is the worst our relationship with Israel has been. And but for the absence of leadership, the vacuum that he has created in this very strategic alliance in the world that we need, Congress had to step in. And you know what? Good for Boehner for doing it. Put the full court press on the president. Make a decision on this. Go ahead and veto it. See what happens.
We don't know what kind of negotiations are going on. Greg paid the floor. We should do this in the light of day.
All right, Bob.
But the fact of the matter is there could be some sensitive negotiations going on, and other allies do not want this thing voted in by the U.S. Congress. That might tell us something.
All right, well, I don't know. Let's see what kind of negotiations are going on. But let's listen to Menendez, who plays for your team and the president's team, and hear what he has to say.
I have to be honest with you. The more I hear from the administration and its quotes, the more it sounds like talking points that come straight out of Tehran. And it feeds to the Iranian narrative of victimization when they are the ones with original sin, an illicit nuclear weapons program.
And those are nuclear talking points from a Democrat.
It's no longer about stopping the bomb. All we're doing at this point is delaying the inevitable because it's gone this far. We have to realize, Bob, that Iran doesn't want to be our friend. There's never going to be a long walk on the beach.
For Menendez has no idea what he's talking about, first of all.
But we have a president.
How can you say that? He's the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Do you think he said those are talking points for the Tehran?
I think he was using a little hyperbole.
A little hyperbole.
He doesn't have any idea what he's talking about.
No, I don't think he does.
Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee.
I don't think he has.
Speaking of not knowing what they were talking about, the speechwriters for President Obama in State of the Union declared that Iran is actually decreasing its stockpile of enriched uranium, and that's not true. They've decreased the speed at which they were enriching uranium. Democrats do this. You remember, this is the same argument they made about healthcare premiums. Bend the cost curve down. Healthcare premiums were going to go down. They haven't gone down. They're not going down. The speed at which they were going up has slowed, but they're still going up. It's the same thing.
Do you really believe the Democrats want to see Iran move ahead on this nuclear weapons program?
I don't know what they want, but what they're going to end up with is a bomb in Iran.
No, Bob, it's not about what it's that they believe their kind of thinking will work, as though that every country is like a romance novel that Obama can crack open and read. It's not that way. They don't care about
like with Putin and Assad.
Yeah,
I don't.
Everything is a new burgeoning, flowery romance.
To suggest the President of the United States doesn't care about what Iran is doing.
Well, you said that, Bob.
I did not say that.
I said that he delivered numbers that were patently false in the State of the Union.
And we're given 3 Pinocchios.
And they were given 3 Pinocchios.
But that's the problem.
But to suggest that he doesn't care about whether he has...
You suggested it.
I did not suggest it.
I said, are you suggesting the president?
Too much.
I said, are you suggesting... I
don't think anyone said that. I think I said, I don't know what he cares about, but I do know he's delivering talking points that were wrong.
Why don't you look at an example is who he chooses to golf with, people who are the heads of oppressive regimes, but he won't meet with a key ally like Bibi Netanyahu. Next, he's back. We hadn't heard from Hollywood.